Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly masterclass that will focus on a topic that we will be covering in our group all month in March in Authentic Inside and Out. My name is Jane Fitch, and I am one half of the duo in Authentic Inside and Out. And I am absolutely thrilled to be introducing you today to the best partner ever, Fran Jeans, who is going to be doing this fabulous presentation on productivity, and I can't wait. I have my notebook and my pen all ready to go because I know she's going to talk about something that is going to be epic, and I will need to write that down. But I want to tell you just a little bit about Fran before we get started. So Fran started building websites in 1997, and she has always loved being on the cutting edge of technology and digital marketing and all those kinds of things. She started a web design business in 1998 and worked with local governments, nonprofits, and small businesses. And I will also tell you that a couple of years ago, she was voted in Charlotte as one of the top web designers. So she kind of knows what she's doing. She grew that business into an agency that offered all kinds of digital marketing to bring in leads for clients. But in 2015, she kind of got burned out and she reworked the business to bring in a little bit more time, freedom, and a lot of joy. Fran loves to travel. That's one of her big things. She is the creator of a web design course, My Website in a Weekend, and also the Joyfully Designed podcast. And she is a self proclaimed productivity junkie. We both love productivity and sharing those kinds of tips with you. So, Fran, take it away. I know this is going to be fabulous.
Hey Jane, thank you so much. It's awesome to be here. Really excited to talk about productivity. As you mentioned, I'm a productivity junkie, so it's always good when I get to talk about this kind of thing. But I will get started. I'll put my slides up. Just let me know if you can see everything okay. And yeah, we'll get going. All right, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, can you see me on the screen?
Yes.
All right, okay. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. This is our monthly masterclass, as Jane had mentioned, and it's going to be kind of a deep dive into managing yourself in time, productivity. We're going to talk about hacks. We've got a great giveaway at the end as a gift to you for being here. It's going to help you with some of the things that we're going to cover today. So I'll be talking for a little while, then Jane will come back in, share a bit about what she's doing for productivity, and then we will wrap things up. So hopefully it won't be more than about 45 minutes to an hour. Your time is precious. So let's get started. I'm going to put myself in a different mode. All right. So we want to really master getting more done in less time without going absolutely crazy, because there is so much stuff to do. And if you work for yourself, you know that that is a challenge, getting stuff done, because there's so much to life to get done. So it's about busyness or business over busyness. So let's talk about time management. You hear a lot about that, but what is it? Really, it's you managing yourself in time. We've all got the same amount of time, the 24 hours that Einstein had, Leonardo da Vinci, everybody that you think of as these really accomplished individuals, Richard Branson, any of these billionaire business owners, you know, they've all got 24 hours in a day. That's how they started. Yeah, they've got lots of people working with them now, but initially they had the same amount of time, 8,766 hours in the year. So how is it that some of us are struggling and some of us are just getting a lot of stuff done? Well, managing ourselves in time is really key to that, because you've got to have some discipline. But if you're not able to manage yourself in time, you're going to get stressed, you're going to get overwhelmed, and that doesn't help you, and you can easily get burnt out. Jane mentioned that. I've had burnout, it's not good, it's very debilitating. And so being able to understand exactly where you are in your projects, with your goals, your vision, it really helps when you master managing yourself in time. And you might think that, well, there's a lot of productivity going on. America, home of capitalism, there's a lot of stuff happening. But in reality, the USA is only the 8th most productive country in the world. Ireland, Luxembourg, they're the top two. I think it was France was the third, but all the European countries do really well. The USA is the only non-European country in the top 10 of most productive countries in the world. And we think of ourselves as working an awful lot. It's kind of seen as a badge of honor not to take all your vacation time, whereas folks in Europe are taking 5, 6, 7 weeks of vacation plus bank holidays. It's fabulous for them, yet they are super productive. So what's really going on? And if you think about the average office worker in the United States, they get less than 3 hours of productive work accomplished. They're there for 8, 9 hours, but they're really only doing a third of that as productive time, because there's internet surfing, meetings, water cooler time, extended lunch breaks, etc., etc. So yeah, if you work from home, you actually have the ability to be way more productive than the average American. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a little while. So we really need to start off with assessment so we can work out where our time is going, because it's going somewhere. You wouldn't be on this masterclass if you weren't wondering, where did my time go? What can I do to get more time back? So at the end of this, I'm going to be sharing with you our gift for being here, and it's to help you with assessment, with scheduling and tracking, so that you can really see where your time goes. Now, assessment. Powerful, because we all are victims of time sucks. And if you think about your inbox, for example, yes, you're getting information from other people, but essentially what is it? It's other people's agendas being pushed onto you. So if you find yourself looking at your email a lot, you might want to consider not doing that. I used to be always checking my email. Now I just typically do it about 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And for some of you, that might have set off like an anxiety just thinking about it. No, I need to be more connected. But really, you'll probably find that you don't. But we're going to talk about that a bit more later. But assessing what you're doing, let's just talk about that real quick. And again, the gift that we're going to give you will help you do this. But if you can have a planner, like a weekly planner, the sort that maybe does 15 or 30-minute increments throughout the day, you want to release your inner child for this activity, get yourself some coloring pencils, some markers, but you're going to track what you're doing for the next 7 days. If you can do it for longer, it will give you a really good overview of what you're doing, but you want to kind of be able to see very quickly, have a snapshot of where your time is going. And if you do this digitally, it can be harder. So I suggest doing 2 printouts of your planner. One, fill it out today with the next 7 days worth of events that you've got going on, all your commitments, and then just put it away. Come back to it on day 8 because you want to compare it with what actually took place. And so with your planner sheet for the next 7 days, color different events in. I like to give different people different colors, different tasks. So if it's a household task, maybe give it one color, phone calls, emails, actual work, give them different colors, because the idea is at the end of that week, you want to be able to just very easily look at that sheet of paper and go, oh, okay, well, I did a lot of this, 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 and this. And then you can look at that sheet where you saw what you had planned out and see what happened. When I do it, often the reality is pretty different to what I had planned, okay? So getting into the habit of assessing, maybe quarterly, kind of getting that habit going, will be good for you. But we really just want to focus on business, right? Not busyness. So if the thought of doing the tracking and just makes you think, no, I don't have time for that. Acknowledging that fact is proof that you actually need to do this exercise. Trust me, I've done this workshop with a lot of folks, and it's always people like, no, I don't have time to go to that workshop. They're the ones that need it the most, because we all know the person that's super frazzled, super busy. They say yes to everything, and that is typically because they don't fully get that snapshot of where they are in time. They overcommit because they think that things aren't going to take as long as they do, and that they just have more time in general. So assessment, tracking, scheduling, it's a really beneficial thing to do. Now, your vision boarding. This is part of the bigger picture, but it all comes under your productivity, really, because you need to know what you're working for. And Jane actually is certified in vision boarding in a very unique manner. And we will be doing a masterclass on visioning and vision boarding, but I just want to talk just very loosely about it because they are very important, but it's something that you want to keep in front of you, because your 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, 1-year plans or whatever, you want to be able to see the bigger picture very easily. Just like when you're using the planner sheet, you can see very easily what you're doing. So with the vision boarding, maybe you've cut up magazines and you've stuck them on a big piece of poster board. Well, it's that you keep coming back to it and you keep it top of mind. That's what really helps. We have something called a reticular activating system with our brain, and that's what helps you focus on things, and it filters out stuff that you don't need. Think about when maybe you were looking to buy a new product or a new vehicle, and then all of a sudden, because you've been so focused on that specific thing, you start seeing that car that you want on the road, and you're like, wow, I didn't realize so many people had this car. That's your reticular activating system. So the more that you can focus and drill into what it is that you're doing, the better your productivity will be. So vision is super important. And, it's that roadmap, and it's your dreams, and it's your motivation. So really, really important. Now let's talk about planning, because this is where you're going to start mastering your managing you in time. Planning, if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You probably heard that a lot. Okay, it's very true. If you don't have that plan, you don't really have your roadmap. You're not sure where you're going to end up. And again, it's very easy for you to get distracted and go down paths that you don't need to go down. So what I'm going to suggest to you is something that will take a few hours, but it's really beneficial and it will help you plan very well for your long-term and short-term goals. Now, I really like Darren Hardy. He's the author of The Compound Effect and several other books. He talks about plan, do, review. And so that's something that you want to do on the daily. You have maybe your weekly plan at the beginning of the week. You do all the work and then you review it at the end of the week. You can also do that at the beginning and at the end of the day, bookend the plan and the review with the do in the middle. But planning is essential. And so to get that really big picture and to help you really get to grips with all the ideas that you might have, because if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, you work for yourself, you're probably highly creative and you have a million ideas going on. Good grief, Jane and I can't tell you how many ideas we've had. And that can be detrimental because there's just so much stuff that sounds really good, but at the end of the day could take us away from our bigger visions and goals. So what I'm suggesting that you do that works really, really well is something called a brain dump. Now, it's getting everything out of your head so you can really get clear on what the lay of the land is, what you're working with. Think about physical clutter in a room and how you may have a hard time cleaning that room if you're in the room with all the clutter. The best thing to do is to take everything out of that room and then bring back in what you want. And so really that's what this brain dump exercise is. You're going to be thinking about everything, all your plans, your dreams, everything that's in your head that you want to do, that you're doing right now. You're going to take it out of your head and you're going to put it on paper. So you might want to sticky tape several sheets of computer paper together, or you might want to go and get a big piece of like the poster board paper from the dollar store. Just something where you can see everything, write everything out. And I like to use something called a mind map. And so I've actually got like this presentation as a mind map. Real briefly, what is a mind map if you haven't heard of that before? It's a way of listing out things laterally, so not vertically like in a to-do list, but you're using a central theme and then you're branching out from that. And it was invented by an English guy called Tony Buzan. Gosh, I think maybe back in the 70s, and I've used it for a long time. I use it for like my plan, do, review. It's very easy for me to see what comes next and how things are connected. It's, for me and my personality anyway, it works really, really well. So however you can get that information out of your brain, taking a while to just sit and think, maybe if you like wine, get a glass. If you're like me, you like bubble tea, get some of that, but block out a few hours to just really sit and think of everything and get it out. And again, get your coloring pens, your markers. If you're artistic in any way, you might want to start drawing pictures and just really get that information out. And yes, you can do mind mapping digitally, but all the things that we're talking about today, it really helps if you're using good old-fashioned pen and paper, because there's that hand-mind connection that just helps you retain this information and actually get more out of the whole exercise if you're doing this old school, not digital, go analog, okay? So once you've got your brain dump, then you'll be able to see what things probably just won't fit in to your immediate goals. I mean, you can separate all the information that you see, take the parts out for like your long term, your 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3 years, 1 year, your quarterly, your monthly, how you're going to accomplish these goals, then your weekly and your daily tasks. And you'll probably find that, yeah, there's not enough time to do all these things. So something will have to give, something will have to go, maybe for another time when you have a team and you can get even more stuff done. But at least all the things that you're thinking about are now out of your head, and you can start bringing things back in that will best serve you and get you to your destination. Okay? So you have the delegate and you have the delete. Some things you might just think, well, this is, why did I even think that this was a good idea? So you have permission to just delete, 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 okay? It's all good. And you'll also be able to see that maybe you're saying yes to too many things from other people's agendas on you, right? Just say no can be really empowering. I hope that you haven't been too intimidated by the idea of getting everything out of your head and putting it on paper. Again, if you're resisting and you're thinking, I don't have time for this, Fran, you need to do the exercise. Having a system. When you have a system, things are just going to work a lot better. Now, what system you come up with might not be my system, and really it shouldn't be. It should be designed around your personality, how you best work. Some folks have attention deficit disorders, they're neurodivergent. We're not all the same. It's just like with a diet. One diet doesn't fit all. What works for one person, they lose 50 pounds, doesn't help the next person. And there are myriad reasons why. Same with your time management and your productivity. Where you are, your environment, what you're working with, your financial abilities, everything is going to be different. We're all unique. So what I share with you from this point on, you might be thinking, well, that's not going to work for me. And that's okay. Take what you can, what resonates with you, and leave the rest. You might come back to this masterclass 6 months from now, and something will resonate with you that didn't resonate today. That's okay. We all change. So I'm going to share just some of the, I'm just going to share just some tools with you right now that might help. And then I'm going to go into just some of the things that are beyond the tools that will be able to help you. So under your system, you've got tools. Okay, now they could be digital, they could be analog, planners, journals. There are so many planners and journals out there that if you're personality type like me, you could go to Amazon and then go down the biggest rabbit hole and spend 3 hours just finding pretty planners. And yeah, been there, done that, right? So I would suggest that if you can find a planner that works best for your learning style, then really use the heck out of it. And it might take you a while because there are so many planners out there. And when you think about it, a lot of the folks that have created planners and made them available for sale, their story will tell you how disorganized they were, how they, were trying to study for their masters or something. And then they were like, I'm going to just have to create my own planner. And then they shared it with some folks who also enjoyed using it. and then they decided to start manufacturing it. Okay, awesome, wonderful. It would be a rarity that you purchase a planner and then you use everything and you're super happy with all of it, because it is really something that you're going to have to customize. So it's taken me a very long time to work out what my planner looks like, and Jane will talk a little bit later about what she uses. But I have found that I need the ability to take pages out. I can't have everything all in one area, all in one book. If I have a journal, I might just write 1 or 2 pages, and then I've got a beautiful journal that is just sitting there, and I've gone on to the next one. And there's a lot of wasted paper, there's a lot of wasted money. When I found this particular system, this product, I was immediately hooked. And it's the ARC system, ARC system by Staples. And Levenger has their own version. Martha Stewart at Staples has her version, but it's basically a notebook of different sizes that has little rings, little discs, and paper that you can punch. You can buy a punch and you can just put it in there, and then you can just peel those pages out and you can archive them somewhere else. You can buy multiple of these journal cases and separate them out for different jobs, for different projects, whatever you want to do. It's super flexible and it works great with me. So I actually have a planner called the Passion Planner that I like to use. The founder of that company has made printables available for free. So you can actually just print out what you could purchase. And for me, that works great because I print out the planner pages that I need and there's no waste. And then I punch them and I put them into my ARC system. And that's what I have on my desk. That's what I carry around with me. So it really helps me stay on track. So there are a lot of other ways that you can stay on track. Obviously, you've got digital planners, all kinds of them. One that I like to use, really a calendaring system that's very unique. It's for folks with ADHD, neurodivergent folks that work slightly differently. A lot of creatives, we tend to get lost in time. We can get very much down rabbit holes or just so busy creating, and then we're like, where did my day go? And also, maybe other people's agendas kind of set us off a little bit, like, no, I don't, that suddenly appeared and I don't want to deal with that right now. I'm not scheduling it just, for a specific time of the day. So I love an app called Timo, Tiimo, which gives you the ability to put things in time frames and then can remind you that it's time, the time frame is starting now. And there's a lot of other really cool features in that app. Works with your smartwatch as well, which is very helpful. But I found that that's great when I've got my blocks of time that I need to work with through the day. If it's not set in stone like an appointment with a client, but it's just general things that I need to get done, but I don't want to really spend the time super committing on paper as to what time I'm going to work on this. I just have an overall time frame that works perfectly for me. So I love Timo. But, there's, once you know the tasks that you're working on, then you've got things like Trello and Asana, and you've got Airtable and Notion and all these other amazing SaaS products that are browser-based that you can use to organize, that are database-driven in essence. And, now more than ever, we're able to just take our work with us. We've got Dropbox and OneDrive and Google Drive, and there's a lot of videos out there that can help you utilize those tools to kind of bring everything together that we talked about with like the brain dump and create part of what they call a second brain. And a second brain is really like your collection of everything. And to me, that kind of makes me shudder. I'm like, I don't want to create a second brain. I don't want to have lists of like my top 100 movies or top 100 books or the 50 most amazing places I want to travel to. That's like too much hard work, right? For me. But some folks love it. And so we have those tools available to make that a possibility. So if you find that your time is still kind of difficult to manage because you do a lot online, say you're a content creator and you're working with a lot of social media, and there's a solution called Rescue Time that will track your computer usage, and it'll let you know what you're using, and you can actually get it to block your computer and stop you from doing that. Okay, so lots of tools. Now that AI is in the picture, there are a lot of tools that will even work as like your own personal assistant of sorts. It will actually take the AI will take your calendar, and it will move things around for you if you haven't quite completed them when you're supposed to. And so it combines your to-do list and your calendar and AI, and I've given it a go. Didn't really work for me. Like I said, Timo is a great app for me, but do a Google search, look for some productivity tools, and there's new tools coming out daily. It's unbelievable. AI has completely changed how we can do our work now. AI, I can have a whole discussion about that, so I won't really. But there are a lot of benefits now with the browser-based tools that are available. The AI gives us just next level abilities. So you can take your schedule and, yeah, have your own kind of personal assistant. So how cool is that? But moving on, we're getting near the end. You're probably thinking, oh, this is a lot of stuff, Fran. I'm going to be busy. So let's talk about some proven hacks to get more done in less time without going absolutely crazy. Because you've done your assessment, you've done your tracking, you've scheduled stuff on your planner, you're doing your plan do review, but there are still things that can help you. So let's quickly go through some of those. You may have heard of Hal Elrod and The Miracle Morning, and that's a great book. He's got an awesome whole ecosystem. And one of the things that I started doing based on reading that book was waking up at 5 a.m. and getting a start on specific things before kind of the world woke up. And that was awesome. I recommend checking out Hal Elrod. However, when I started menopause, if any of you are going through that or have, you know what it's like. It changes a lot of things. One of those was the inability to wake up at 5 a.m. and get all that stuff done before the world wakes up. And so, yeah, couldn't feel bad about it. It's just one of those things. I just need more sleep these days. And so that's okay. But shifting when you work can really help. Now, if you work for yourself, it's great. Some of us are night owls, working through to the wee hours of the morning works best. So understanding when you do your best work can really help you. Maybe you're not a morning person and you don't want to try and become one. You don't want to be going to the gym at 5 in the morning. I did that. Ooh, yeah. Um, anyway, so knowing when you do your best work, when you have the most energy, that's when you should be doing your creative work. Keep your admin and the less exciting stuff for when you have less energy. So whatever time of day that might be, that's okay. So your environment, you might not have thought about it too much, but where you're working, where you're doing specific things can have a really big difference. Some of us are limited. Maybe our office is also in our bedroom, and that causes some issues. But I found that there was a specific chair that I loved to sit in when I was reading, and it helped me really remember more about what I was reading, which was especially helpful if it was business related, which most of my books are. I find that if I'm writing, if I'm blogging, I love to do that in a coffee shop. Don't like to do it much here at my desk. This desk, this big computer is where I do my creative stuff, my content creation, my design work. So think about your environment and the things that you have to do, and where is the best place that those things can happen? Where do you get the most stuff done? In what place? And then go there when it's time to do those tasks. And, we deal a lot with distraction. So I did talk about rescue time. That's great. That will help you understand what is going on. But if you've got one of these, which most of us do, if you've got an iPhone, I'm not sure about Android, but I know iPhone because that's what I have, you can set focus settings on there that can also mirror with your computer. But if I'm working, I press a button, only my super immediate family can get through to me. Otherwise, there's no notifications, no nothing. I've created a shortcut that I can just tap on my watch and it will shut everything down super fast. It's getting rid of distractions for as much as possible. And then what complements that really is something called time blocking. If you can get as much done in a block of time as possible and just focus on that, you're going to get a lot more done, right? So one of the things that I like to use to help me master these time blocks, and I like to take 2 hours at a time. If I'm working on a project, it's 2 hours. But then I'm utilizing something called the Pomodoro technique within that. Not every single time block, but it really works for specific things. If you have one task that you want to work on, might be subtasks in there, but one major task, it's the Pomodoro technique works really well. So what is the Pomodoro technique? Well, the guy that came up with it, Pomodoro is tomato in Italian. He had a little kitchen timer. You might have seen them, looks like a little tomato. And so the idea being that you use a timer and you do nothing but your focus task for 25 minutes. And when you're done, you go and do something for 5 minutes that's completely different. So if you've been working on designing a website, for example, then for your 5 minutes, you want to go away and maybe read a book, wash some dishes, whatever it might be, but it shouldn't be anything computer related. All right, go walk around the block, something completely different, 5 minutes, and then you start the 25-5 again. And you do that 4 times, and that equals a Pomodoro. And if you do 2 Pomodoros, then you're almost like more effective or more productive than the average American worker, right? So I really like the Pomodoro technique. It's something that I've been using for many years, and you can get timers. There's lots of apps for your computer that go with your smartwatch, or you can just do it manually on your phone if you don't want to use an egg timer. But I use an egg timer quite often, especially if I'm working on a creative project. There's something with the little click, 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 click as that timer is going through the cycle that I'm like one of Pavlov's dogs, and I'll just start going, I've got to work really fast. And somehow my brain and everything complies, and I can just crank out a load of stuff. And it's like I've been conditioned like one of Pavlov's canines. So I just find that rather interesting. But if you can do the Pomodoro technique, if it works with what you need to do, I highly recommend it. I love it. And now something that you might not have really thought of is your rules of engagement. Actually writing down what your rules of engagement are. If you remember earlier, I was talking about your inbox is actually everybody's agendas being pushed on you. So if you can create rules of engagement for the different types of people in your world, right, it's going to help. So you've got like the 3-hour people, the 3-minute people, the 3-hour people, the 3-day folks, and the 3 weeks, the 3-week people in your life. And if you think about it, there are certain people that you might only want to give them 3 minutes of your time. Then there are other folks that you can hang out with them for 3 hours. Now you're getting more into like your really good friends and your family. And yeah, you can hang out with them for 3 days. And then you've got hopefully your immediate family that you would want to hang out with 3 weeks or more. So for each of those groups, create rules of engagement. How you get in and out of conversations with those folks, how you have meetings with those individuals. If one of your potential clients comes to you and you realize that they're just a 3-hour person in your life, well, maybe they're not going to be a good long-term client. And if they're a 3-minute type of person, then yeah, you definitely probably don't want to have them as a client, period. Right? Okay, so we talked about time blocks, your parameters, being very definite with your beginning time and your end time. That's a really good hack, because it's been found that if you give a project or task a time frame, you're very likely to get it done within that time frame. But if you're very loose with it and just say, well, I'm going to create this flyer for my next event, and you just leave it at that, it could take an awful lot longer than if you say, I'm going to create this flyer in the next 2 hours. That's all I'm giving it. As soon as 2 hours comes, once that's over, whatever's done is done. That's going to the printers. You'll actually find that you'll probably get that flyer done completely perfectly as you would have wanted it to be done within the time frame that you've given yourself. But if you left it open, it would probably still be on the to-do list. So I found that to be super, super effective. And time is passing, so we're almost at the end. A couple more things. Exercise, creativity. I've always found that getting that blood flowing can really help the ideas come. So super important. Your prime time, again, working out when you have the most energy, very important. And then buffering. That's something I think it took me a long while to learn. Now, if I'm going on vacation, I will actually buffer more time. The time that I tell folks when I'm coming back, there's going to be like a day on either side of when I leave and when I come back, because my inbox is going to be full, right? So I don't want to come back to work and just be bombarded. I need that little bit of, decompression time, see what's been going on, and then plan to act on that the next day. And that'll be like my official return to work. And of course, I monitor my email when I'm gone, but just to have that buffer. And the same thing with your day, with the meetings that you've got, the tasks that you need, your appointments, have buffers around that. This is really important if you have an online scheduling tool, that make sure it's one that gives you the ability to just buffer, because you don't want somebody to book an appointment with you or a meeting, a virtual call, and it's right up against something else. You need to be able to have a little bit of downtime between things, eat, use the bathroom, whatever it might be. You can't have back to back to back. You've got to have buffers. And so that extends throughout your day. Have some buffers in there. And again, just if you can schedule, have a habit. When you're doing your planning, doing and reviewing, try and have that set in stone on your schedule, that, 8 a.m. you're going to plan, then you're going to do for whatever time, 5 p.m. you're going to review, and just try and get into the habit of doing that at the same time every day, or, at the beginning and the end of the week, just so that you can stay on track easier, and it just becomes habit. And so that is pumping up your productivity. I can't tell you the amount of folks that I've done this workshop for that have just, light bulbs have gone off, and it's really helped them once they've used these tools, these hacks. So if I can impress anything upon you, it's use the things that I've mentioned that resonate with you, that work with your personality, and keep using them, and it will be beneficial over time. So with that, I'm going to bring Jane on, and we're just going to talk about some of the ways that Jane is using tools and planners for her productivity. So let me just change the screen, get us both on here.
Hey,
Jane.
I have just been writing and writing. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. It's so good, yes, and I love productivity, and we'll be focusing a lot on this in the community in March, and going into a lot more detail around a lot of these, most all of these things that you talked about, Fran. And I am totally a planner junkie, as you know. And I know one year, a few years ago, I think I bought at the beginning of the year maybe 5 different planners, that because I'd see one and go, oh, I love that one. Oh, I love that one. And then it was crazy, because after a couple months, I went back to the planner that I had used the year before. So I spent a whole lot of money for nothing. But it is so important to have a great planner that works for you. And it's not just
Yep.
a place for you to write your appointments. Okay. It's not a time, well, it is a timekeeper, yes, but it's also something that helps you to set goals and write your dreams down, write all kinds of things down, connections and things like that. And especially if you're a network marketer, I think it's very important to use a planner that works well for that particular thing. And I do that. And I know one of the things that we will be doing in the community is kind of giving you a daily method of operation that is a very effective system, so that you're not just sitting there. It's very, very easy especially when you work at home. It's very, very easy to get sidetracked on something else. And we all kind of have a tendency to put off the things that we don't want to do, the things that are difficult. And
Yeah.
so building those kinds of money making activities into your plan is extremely important. And that's one of the things that we'll be working on when March comes in our community. And we also have a planning session every week on Fridays where we can all come together with our different planners and spend an hour or so creating that plan of success for the next week. And that is priceless, I think, because, and Fran, I know you know that very, very, very few people, I think it's only about 2 to 3% of people write down their goals. And what you said about writing it down on paper, I think is also very, very critical. There is that, as you said, the brain hand connection. And so I like to write things down on paper. I tried actually having a digital planner and a paper planner, and the digital planner for me just didn't really work for me. I like to write things down much more than digitally. But we will have a lot of information about productivity and systems in the community. So I'm really excited about March. It's going to be really great.
Yes, I can't wait. Because like I said, I love this stuff. I'm a productivity junkie, and you start talking with other folks and you find out what they're doing, and it's like, oh wow, I hadn't even heard of that tool. Let me go and check it out. And like I said, it seems like daily there's something new. And of course
Oh,
that can be very distracting and a rabbit hole, but
well,
if I can
yes,
get a
because
recommendation that it works from
mhm,
someone, and they've got a similar personality, then I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. Because a lot of it is
yeah,
based on our personalities, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And what you said too about Hal Elrod and the Miracle Morning. I know when I first read that book too, I was like, 5 o'clock in the morning. Like I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And you do, everybody has a different energy pattern that where they work better. And I'm kind of like you. To me, sleep is non-negotiable. I My husband just last night, I think he said something about, I said, it was telling him all the things I had to do today. And he goes, well, you could get up earlier. And I'm like, no, I can't. Sleep is non-negotiable, and it's very, very important. So in order to
It's how
be
you
productive,
recharge your batteries.
well, yes,
If
in
you
order
don't
to
get
be
enough
productive,
recharging,
you have to be
how can you do
rested.
all the things that you need to get done, right?
Exactly, exactly. So you have to get sleep. And you know what? The Miracle Morning, the things that are included in the Miracle Morning are fantastic, but you don't have to do them at 5 o'clock in the morning. You could do them at 8 o'clock in
No,
the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning. So that it doesn't matter. What matters is that you do it. So don't think that you have to get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning to be productive, because you don't. You are
that's right.
productive because you will actually, what will happen is that you will get more done in a shorter amount of time, because you think about people who are at work at a 9 to 5 kind of job, and the the amount of work that they really get done sometimes is would probably really surprise you.
Yeah,
So how you manage your time is so important, because you can set it up so that you will get more done in less time. So it's very exciting. I know I love productivity, and without systems, wow. I mean, you have to have systems today, and especially if you're a female entrepreneur. In most cases, you're probably doing a lot of different things. You're wearing a lot of different hats, especially if you're at the very beginning
Exactly.
of your journey. And so there are just a lot of things to do. And that brain dump is, I love that. I mean, I do that. I remember I showed you my, like, oh, I've got this and I've got this and I've got, and but it is absolutely a game changer because I am ADHD. And for me, if I don't have something written to focus on, it won't get done. It won't get
It
done.
doesn't exist.
It doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
I mean,
Like,
I've
like, where
all
is
my
this document?
binders and stuff, my file folders, they're all clear, because if I don't have clear things and things in there don't exist,
Yes.
so
Yeah,
you've got to know your personality and how you work best and set up your
absolutely.
environments to make the most of you. We're
Absolutely.
all so
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
So I
absolutely.
just
And
hope
that,
that folks,
and well, let me just say one more thing. And that's one thing that I think we will give people a lot of different things instead of just saying, well, here's this way to be the most productive. We want to give you alternatives and choices. And I think, especially with between the two of us, we know about a lot of different tools and tricks and all kinds of different things. So that, I think that's very important. We're not going to say, oh, you have to do it this way in order to be the most productive.
yeah, it doesn't work most efficiently and effectively by doing that. You can't fit round square pegs into round holes.
Exactly.
But knowing how you work, where your energy, when you have the most energy, and your personality type, and that goes a really long way to perfecting your system.
Yes.
So I just want to go back and share with folks real quick before we go, because we do have a gift for everybody that stayed on and
Mm-hmm.
spent their time with us. So I hope you can see that, Jane.
I can, yes.
All right. So I had mentioned that there's the tracking, the scheduling under the assessment slide that I showed. And I put together this workbook. It's called Beyond Busyness, and it's got the tracker in there. It's got some other exercises that will help you kind of see where your time is going, and some other productivity tips in there that we just didn't have time for today. And so if you go to that web address, you'll be able to get that gift. And, we'd love to hear from you, how you use it. And yes, it's yours absolutely free for being here today. And yeah, we just thank you for being here. And we just wish you all the best productivity wise and in business, of course. So with that, I guess we should go, Jane. We've got work to do.
Okay, yes, we have to go be productive today.
Yes, we do. All righty. Well, thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you
Thank
on
you
the
so
next
much.
masterclass.
We'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.